Good morning, this is Simon with Trading Perform Coaching doing the market preview for 8th of June. Important disclaimer and reminder for all traders and investors, the webinar is for educational purposes only and not a recommendation to buy or sell any particular financial instrument. Equities, futures, options, and currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risks. You must be aware of the risks and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options market. Absolutely, do not trade with money you can't afford to lose. The website is neither solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell equities, futures, or options. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in this channel. Past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. Absolutely consult your registered financial advisor and your risk trading plan before ever investing or trading any financial instrument. Okay, so to jump back in, again, as long as we hold this 30-33 level out of the gate, right, any push down should get absorbed, and we should come back up to test this 36-37 level. If we can consolidate in this upper quadrant, it should lead to an afternoon breakout. It's summertime, so don't be surprised if it's slow out of the gate. Would not be unusual, right? And then what are the other things we're looking for? It pushes down, negative 600 to 800 tick. The highest odds trade is going to be a 5-minute tick divergence into the low. We saw yesterday on news-driven event, 7 to 10 point rotations are key to the downside, right? So in order to take this trade here, you have to be willing to accept that your aggressive entry is just that, aggressive, right? And you're going to have to assume that that will hold out of the gate, right? If not, you're waiting for either a 7 to 10 point rotation or a push higher, a break of IB high. So let's get this rid of this. So the patterns would be a push down into Wednesday's low, retest of the low with tick divergence, right? The other pattern would be a break of IB, established IB high, break of IB high, 50-60 back, continuation higher, right? If we somehow end up in a downtrend, right, with an open drive lower, break of the last swing high, 50-60 back, continuation higher. But either way, we're looking for the U-turn, just like yesterday, right? That was right into the NVPOC. There is no NVPOC to work off of except above, and I do expect this area to reject first time in. Okay, if we consolidate above, I would expect to push. There's very little resistance above here. Okay. There's very little resistance above. So we're basically hunting for the same thing we've hunted for all week. Tick is opening at a modest negative 119. So again, we need the first half hour to open up to give us some clarity on our trading opportunity. And I'm hoping for a push down into this area for aggressive entries, right? As long as we hold above that 24, 30, 50, should lead to a rotation up to the upside, right? Hopefully that materializes. We'll see in the next couple of minutes. If we don't get that push down, watch for potential open drive higher, lack of gap fill. Of course, this isn't a very large gap, and zero tick certainly isn't in play because of the negative 151, right? Importantly, just like yesterday, when we highlighted so this is going to be messed up. Oh no, it's all right still. It hasn't updated. Good. So I pointed out that this NVPOC right here was a key area yesterday. You'll notice it entered on a negative 1,000 extreme tick, right? And it never gave a 50-60 back. It just pushed from there straight back up. In summertime, okay, unlike regular times of years, this is right in front of Comey testifying. News that's not fundamental, like Comey testifying, right, will often drive us right to the key location that we need to get long, right, and end up being the low of the day and never looking back. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Never even gave you a 50-60 retrace. It's important that you recognize also that while we pushed the low tick of the day, look at where we had the most sell pressure, but on the most sell pressure, that bar, okay, so this is a nuance, right? We had the most sell pressure of the day right here and right here, but the bar could not close below the prior 5-minute low. See that? And then they attempted once more to break it right behind and unable to do so. Okay, so that is a pattern you should be hopefully searching for in your trading. Okay, hopefully you are looking for that in your trading and finding those opportunities to trade long, right? It's important that you try or attempt to find those opportunities as often as possible. Hold on 1 second here. Again, we're pushing. I want to show something, guys. We're pushing right down into that. Okay, we're pushing right into the HVN from the day time frame. All right, as long as it holds this area right in here. Okay, see it's pushing right to the top of yesterday's high volume node area. So that's all the way down to 3050, right? So remember that. Okay, so this is ESM 17, right? Pushing right into this build. It has to get below in order to move lower. So if we trade below 20, 40, 30, 50 and we hold, that would set us up to come back and re-auction this lower area, right? But I get the feeling that that's not going to happen. So we'll see how they respond here. This is an attempt to get below the white zone. And my suspicion would be that they're going to actually try to push up towards that 2437 location when everything is said and done. Okay, so it's only for aggressive traders. It's obviously the first 5 minutes, and there's obviously ability to re-auction this area back down. So it's aggressive, therefore you have to be willing just to simply accept the stop if you're going to take that location for a pushback higher. Let's put up NQ. So we have a view on the side here of what it's doing. Obviously NQ is gapped and is not filled to have gap or the gap fill. Hold on a second, let me copy this. Apologize. So obviously the market is still relatively strong. NQ is relatively strong out of the gate. Tick is slightly negative, but nothing severe. And we did not check econ yet, so let me do that real quick. We have nothing, which usually leads to balance. Okay, so buyers are in overall control. Like I said, I'm expecting to push to 2436, 2437 out of this area. I don't know how it'll do it, but that would be my expectation. Unless we get below 2430.50, would be the only thing to change my mind on that particular trading call, quote unquote. That would be the only thing that would change my mind about that. It's just really hard to get sell pressure in the summertime. And the Comey testimony was going to give you everything you needed in terms of that was your best shot at getting weakness yesterday, and it was obviously reversed. Anyone who got caught trapped short here, right, they're going to be forced in. Also, if they built short inventory, those against that. People who shorted this area yesterday, which made sense, right, they're going to be forced back in. Your competitors are going to be forced back into cover, right, because they were shorting. If you were shorting yesterday against, right, so picture yesterday afternoon, as we shot down and you came back up, you say, hey, look at all this volume, I'm going to short against this, right? So if you shorted against this overnight, we've pushed up, right? So think about this, because there's logic to this, right? There's a logical reason to short against this area yesterday. So if you're into this area this morning, you're like, oh, we pushed to 24.37 overnight. Good color. Let's get another color that shows better. If you shorted this area yesterday, oh, nothing's showing up. So here, if you shorted against this area yesterday based on this, right, what you're going to say is, oh, I was short against this, pushed up overnight, now we're coming back into this area. I know what I would say is, hey, I want to be covering against this area, right? And then I'll wait to see if we get back underneath, and I'll use this as my bull bear line if it pushes back lower. That's what I would say if I were trading. By the way, NQ is completely filling its gap. It's just summertime trading. See that right there? Just heads up on that. I don't know if there's news out or what's going on, but again, people get overexcited one way or the other. So we're testing yesterday's volume point of control. That's where we're at right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to move that. That's what we're testing right now, is yesterday's volume point of control. And again, as long as this area holds, people are okay. If this falls apart, back to the drawing board underneath, and then a push back to the downside. That's how that works. Okay, but we just tested yesterday's volume point of control, and again, you can see they're at least attempting to hold that volume point of control. Okay, with NQ has filled the gap, and now we'll see where they go from that. Again, it's summertime. We would expect it to chop around for a while in the morning. Again, my expectation is to push up, unless something fundamentally has changed. But there's no news to drive the market. Doesn't mean it can't go down. Just means it's very hard to generate the energy to do that, right? Also notice, as we've pushed down, the broader market, even though NQ has gotten weaker, right, broader market tick is not getting worse. As a matter of fact, it's improving as we're pushing down, right? Sign of strength, not weakness. So I'm not going to start calling longs first 5 minutes of the day as a general rule, but I wouldn't want to be short here. I can tell you that. I can tell you everyone who is short is going to use this area. They're going to use this area to cover because they have to, right? It's a structural issue. Okay, so does anyone have any questions over today's trade plan? Unless we get underneath here, I'm pretty hesitant to short. If I were an aggressive short, I'm going to give a shot at this naked volume point of control with tick divergence, right? If I'm an aggressive long, I'm going to take this area and try to shoot up for naked volume point of control. I would expect a balance day with an upside bias. Generally speaking, a slower grind type of day, right? There's nothing to drive us one way or the other. Okay, so chop would be my general consensus thought on the day, right? So there's no need to get overly active. This trade, if you're taking it out of this area, expect it to bounce around for quite a while, right? There's no indication that we're going to be in a rush to push out of here, right? That's what everyone tries to get it to do, is to develop a quick move, or they'll look at this and say, oh, it's falling apart. It's summertime. These moves are random. Also remember, we've rolled futures over. So random moves in futures can occur on rollover day, right? Like this could just simply be a fund rolling out of the June into the September contract on NASDAQ. Could be all that is, right? So don't read too much into the first half hour of trading. Same thing if we push straight up to 24.37. That can simply be hedge funds rolling out of June and into September, right? The moves will appear random. Don't try to make a rhyme or reason. It is John. I apologize. His testimony was today, but his comments were released. His testimony comments have already been released. They were released yesterday. That's what caused the spike down. So see how we came in? Okay, this is textbook, guys. Came in, right? Shorts who are short in here now have the challenge of now have the challenge of getting out over here. Okay, the shorts that were in here overnight, looking at this going, oh, this is my opportunity. This is my opportunity to come out of the trade when they push down into this. This is normal. I've been trying to teach this for a while, right? And that really, the only way to gauge that as to whether that'll work or not is to ask yourself one very simple question, which is, am I willing to take the loss out of the gate if it is an open drive lower? So something happened so does anyone have any questions over today's trade plan? This is the opportunity to ask. Also another note, we V-shaped yesterday. Often a V-shaped bottom will result in looking like a trend day up the following day. Just FYI. Okay. I'm going to pause, make sure no one has any questions. Okay. If that's the case, I'm going to give me just a second here. I'm going to switch topics, okay? Tick is neutral. If someone sees the market falling apart, will you please give me a heads up? I'll switch back over. Okay. Yesterday, I want to go over CL really quick because I think there's valuable lessons in it, okay? And it's a valuable lesson for all markets, not just whether you trade, not just whether or not you trade CL or not, okay? Okay. So again, I would expect us to work our way eventually up to this NVPOC, okay? Yesterday, CL had a really bad day if you were long bullish, okay? Inventories were expected to build, and instead inventories shrunk. They're expecting a drawdown. I did that reverse Slexi limit. And instead they got a very large build. Okay. So there's a couple of lessons to learn here. The break looks random, right? If you go to a 30-minute chart, it wasn't so random. So the first thing to look at is you look at coming into the number. Notice the lower highs and lower lows coming into the day. Notice the inability, except right into the number, right, all the way through here, the inability to close above the prior 30-minute bar, right? And I mean close above. So I want you to see this so you understand the trending nature. Market's doing exactly what we anticipated here. I'm going to label morning trades when we have those areas as aggressive. So for those who want to take them, they can. Okay. But we're going to start tracking just those setups. Okay. Give me just a second here. So if you look, notice that not one bar really, right, so right here's the first bar that closed above the prior 30-minute. You see the follow through. Then we resume. We couldn't break the swing high, right? And notice we start one timing to the downside. We can't get a close above this attempted above right into the number. This would make sense. So think through, why would this make sense? Short covering in front of the number. If you're short from here, take your money off the table. So I spoke to one of my coaching clients who's not in the room, trades only CL yesterday. We were discussing it, right? So if you looked yesterday, he said, this is what he said. He goes, I really wanted to get long this area for a reversal, right? And I said, he says, but often when I react on that feeling of getting a reversal, when I react on the feeling of getting a reversal, I end up having really bad down days. So I said, there's a way you can fix that, right? The first thing he was looking for, just like you're looking for up here, is an extension away. So the first, notice, this is the first reversal bar. See how it was met with immediate sellers on the 30 minutes, right? So you know immediately, the first thing you want to see is a punch up, and then a 50-60 retrace. You want to see an example of that? Here's the first attempt to break over this swing high. Failed, right? This is a punch above that swing high. All I have to do, come to my day swing low, assuming there's not news, right? So see where this response comes from? So obviously this was fundamental news. It changes the picture. But if I want an entry, I have a very clear entry, my 50-60 retrace. And if this were to continue, right, it was totally logical. The backside of this wick, backside tested the structure of this area. This is your ideal long location in a close below, assuming you're not trading into oil inventories. It would simply be your sign to exit the trade, right? Very, very simple. Overnight, you'll notice this is the high close. See that 46.16? That's the high close after this initial bar. The high print of the bar that was able to close. Notice how it came right to 46.16. Couldn't get above. So we now know what we are looking for is a push above this area in our first 50-60 back. If you think this is an overreaction and you want a long side trade, you want to push back up. That's not all the lessons to learn from that. But what I said was, after you saw this wick, right, you don't have to be the first in line to catch the falling knife. You can wait for the break of the swing high. Additionally, right, continuous lower lows all the way through without breaking the lower high on the 30-minute bar. Notice where that broke, right? Here's the first high print that's actually able to close above definitively. See that right there? This bar right here in Asian session. See that one little bar right there? Okay. From my swing low, so I'm going to open that up. This is on a 30-minute bar. We're not even trying to trade 5-minute bars here. I see that we're pushing to the low, guys. I'll switch back over in just a moment. From the low, first bar that closes definitively above, right? Swing low, swing high. I messed it up a little bit. 50-60 back, rotation back to resistance. Okay? So, you don't have to get so excited when the market's moving like this. There's no nirvana here. Okay? It's simply mechanical. That's all you have to be. You don't have to figure everything out. You didn't have to try to catch the falling knife. You didn't have to catch the low. You simply had to go, hey, where have we consolidated? Broken above, given a 50-60 back with a well-defined stop and a push to the upside, right? And if you look from here, came back in here, move to the right, you'll see that's where we got resistance on that from the 50-60 back. Initial resistance, consolidated, lack of rejection, squeeze the shorts back behind the 62, back to yesterday's resistance point after the news, and then we rolled back down, and now we clearly know a close above here gives us a breakout and a re-auction at the poorly auctioned area. I'm going to switch my attention back to ES for now. We'll stop the recording. There's some stuff I wanted to show you on volume profile and Can't remember the term. It'll come to me in a moment, but anyway, we'll call it volume profile for now. Before we can go look, let's go see what's going on in the market here real quick. So I don't need this today. Okay, so see how I was right and I was wrong? So look what's happened here. Something's going on with NQ. I have no idea. Again, I'm not going to try to figure out on futures rollover what's going on here. For all I know, this is just a futures rollover. There doesn't have to be news. Unless someone is telling me, hey, Simon, there's news out there, I'm not going to try to figure this out, right? Other than we hit a round number of 5,900 and people are taking profits, which is understandable in NQ. But again, we've constantly U-turned in NQ. What have we done? We're coming down. We're now below yesterday's. I need to change this. Hold on a second. Okay. We attempted to push above yesterday's volume point of control. 2 points right here. See that? So we have this. We had this, got auctioned over, but it just shifted down just slightly. We attempted to hold the build above, right? So how will I know? So what do we need to see now? We want to see a consolidation above this volume point of control, but we have a double distribution. See how it's stopping and pausing right at that double distribution? Okay, so volume point of control, and I cannot remember. Guys, help me out. Bill, my mind's totally slipped on this. Let me pull it. TPO, there we go. See how the TPO looks different? Because they calculate them in different ways. But the end message is the same, right? In order to advance higher now, notice overnight, the HVN is shifted here. So we now want a consolidation above. So what has it done on the 24-hour? We pushed up into this HVN area and rejected. There's a naked volume point of control in 24 hours. That has not been tested in the RTH. We tested down into this area initially. Shorts, who shorted here yesterday thinking we would roll over overnight, got caught out. First time they got a test back in the RTH, they covered. Pushed back up into Wednesdays and Tuesdays highs. Failed to reach naked volume point of control or Globex high. Again, the PA's mixed up a little bit because of contract rollover, right? We have then pushed back down, right? And we're attempting to get below this 24.30.50. We've closed just below 24.30.50. If we hold below it, this area is now resistance, right? If that is resistance, right, and I look at this, I want to look at two things. Look at a 24-hour, and I know that I have, on my 24-hour, I know that I have single prints right in here, which means between here and here, 26 to 24, again, becomes my support area, okay? 26 to 24, single prints will want to get reprinted if we can manage to hold below 24.30, which I would be surprised if we do, quite frankly, because there's nothing to drive us besides the econ. But the market can do what it wants. It's options, futures rollover, right? On the daytime frame. Okay. See, we don't have a build here yet because we just started. And this build is based on 30-minute bars. So we're not finished with the A time frame. Notice that the structure on the day time frame, again, this is a single area down to 23, 75, 24, right? But notice, I'm going to open this up. Okay, the bulk of the volume is really 28 to 33. See how we have not pushed through that yet? We're not bearish unless we get underneath. I'll give you an example. See this day how we opened here? This is where, okay, so I want to show you all this so you understand. Because if you understand this, you can understand your decision-making process. Here, based on a 30-minute TPO, which is different than volume profile, okay? Here's where all your volume build is. We open up at the bottom, push to the top, and we simply build another HVN on the TPO, almost identical to where it was before. The next day, we open up, lower, push up into the top where the volume is, and reject down. Yesterday, we pushed lower, so see how there's a HVN on, this is the day time frame TPO, right? We pushed into where there was volume. That was a weak HVN. It's not very prominent. It's prominent for that day, but that was a day where we were searching for value. Okay? But buyers are in overall control. Okay? I want to say that again. Buyers are in overall control, so it doesn't take much to get a responsive buy. And then what did we push back up to yesterday? Right back into resistance. You'll see in the afternoon they tried to punch out just barely and failed. So overnight we pushed above. Now we pushed back in, found responsive buyers. We've now traded where back? Only to the bottom. Nothing's bearish yet, right? So what does this mean? We're building energy for a move. In order to break out, we've got to get above this area, right? If we started doing this right over here, I'd be nervous if I was short because there's nothing stopping me, right? So first, I need to consolidate above here, build energy to break through here, and then I'm going to come back and backside test that, most likely. I'm just thinking like institutions think, right? And I'm going to push up. Or, notice we couldn't get underneath here, right? In order to break down, I need to get underneath this and push higher. Where do we have examples of this? How can I accurately predict? Why can I accurately predict that we're going to push down and push back up? Here, let me kill the market preview part of it. We covered it.